What's up, AKAPADers? Here's the thing. Welcome to Wildstorm Wednesday. Every Wednesday we do Wildstorm Productions. We talk everything Wildstorm. If you like Jim Lee, don't watch this video. Let's get into it. Welcome back. Let's get a little bit of that sippy. Peter A. DeLuca here, aka Pad69, and say it with me. Knowing through Philadelphia, PA, Europe, and the multiverse as the eclectic one. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Wildstorm Wednesday. This is where we do deep dives, we do deep thoughts on the alumni and production and books of the great Wildstorm universe, Wildstorm Productions, later to be purchased by DC Comics. I try and get into the old stuff, the new stuff, and I said before, alumni. And if you like Jim Lee, this is not going to be your video because, you know, just like as we get into it, let me just put up this Zack Snyder tweet. Jim Lee's a genius. He's drawing this for me. And we know Jim Lee and Zack Snyder somewhat collaborated on this blueprint that Zack Snyder made for the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU, now referred to as the DC Universe by new co-CEO James Gunn. But then we have this article, Jim Lee singing the praises of James Gunn, telling James Gunn sells comic books, and James Gunn's great, and James Gunn is this, and you know, like we'll put that right there. So what do we have? We have Jim Lee being called a genius for hooking up Zack Snyder with some artwork, right? And then we have an article here praising James Gunn. Now, what is this exactly? Why does this bother me? Very simple, people. It's all about the comic books. We are about comic books. We are comic books. Comic books are important, and we know that. I'm not joking. You go to Target, you buy a t-shirt. You go to Hot Topic, buy a t-shirt, buy a Funko Pop, go purchase something off of Amazon Prime, Amazon Prime Video, go stream something. You guys know where I'm going with this. Comic books, they're everywhere now. Culture runs through comic books. And comic books, for a stretch, they're not the foundation. They're not the testing ground. This is not where audiences are able to bet by their dollar and vote on what's good and what's bad. You know, we have identity politics. We have SJWs. We have too many politics, like just being injected into these books, and a lot of these books have transformed into statements and not entertainment, and that's the big thing. And that doesn't mean there haven't been runs of like conservative stretches in comic books and you know, politics not infecting comic books in the past. They 100% have, but we haven't quite seen it at this level. And of the big two, DC Comics and Marvel, Jim Lee is there. Jim Lee has a storied history. He worked himself up, got jobs, got some of those JOBs as an artist, and relatively in somewhat of an argument level, the #1 and #2 highest selling comic book of all time broke away, went into Image Comics, formed Wildstorm Productions, and licensed and made millions, and just became a true comic book publisher. But he's playing to Hollywood. He's playing to filmmakers. He's not betting on comics. He's not playing into comics. And if you believe that he can do both, that he can kiss the butt of both of these gentlemen along my shoulders, you are terribly mistaken. Because if we look at his publishing history, if we look at his chief creative officer history, it's not there. It's not. The publishing history of DC recently, I'm talking within the last 3 to 4 years, is dismal. They are, he completely betrayed the legacy post Flashpoint going into the Dido New 52, and he really hasn't looked back. He is fine with infinitely rebooting, confusing readers with no continuity whatsoever, and he short sells the attention span of comic book fans. And because of that, people have just turned their backs. They're not really into DC anymore. And DC is always the perfect counterpoint to Marvel. Marvel is here and now, grounded, and DC is always of the gods. I do give James Gunn a little bit of credit for calling his Phase 1 Gods and Monsters. We really don't have much info other than that, sadly. But people, Jim Lee, as a publisher, has completely failed American comic books. He has turned his back, and it's ironic to me that people believe just because he draws covers, just because he somewhat puts himself in front of DC Comics, he's being and dare I say, Stan Lee. He is not. He is a dim Lee, if I have to say it, because he doesn't sell, he doesn't promote, he doesn't find new talent. I mean, we have to give him credit, because he is attributed to discovering guys like Sam Keith, cherry picking guys like Brett Booth for Wildcats Zero. That Polybag trade paperback book that will be a feature potentially on next week's Wildstorm Wednesday. We will be doing the Wildstorm talent search winner, Brett Booth and Wildcats Zero, and kind of telling you how that leads into issue 1 of Wildcats. A lot of things that people miss. But no, it's sad, it's disturbing, and I don't know what, it's almost like the only way out is in, and the only way if you're in, you're imploding. This really leads to the overall idea that DC Comics just absolutely has to fail under the reign of Jim Lee, and Jim Lee is doing nothing. He's not surrendering any of his power. Why would he? But along the way, he is just letting it crumble. He is a willful participant in tearing it down, removing continuity. We talk about continuity is the most important thing when it comes to comics. Anyone that tells you otherwise, don't trust them. Anyone that refers to comic books as a hobby, don't trust them. Jim Lee recently did this, where he's trying to sell these hex of bags on his Instagram because they're limited edition available at SDCC. Comic books is not a hobby. Comic books is an absolute obsession that seeps into your cells, and you can never get rid of it for your entire life. I should know. I tried multiple times in my life to get rid of the comics, and now this is where we are. People, Jim Lee came in as the god, as the one sent from the heavens, the one that could draw DC Comics into absolute relevance, a person that could himself draw Marvel comic books into the dust, but he hasn't. And because of that, he's just happy collecting his multiple six-figure salaries between his DC titles. But we give it to him. We gotta give him a lot of credit. Not finding new talent, not developing new talent, drifting away from continuity, destroying his very own legacy with Wildstorm Productions, and expecting you to keep purchasing and buying. I can't do it, people. Jim Lee is everything wrong with comic books.